Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
Welcome to another episode of the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. My name is Alex Morgan, and I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP. And on this episode, we're going to talk about breaking the plateau. So maybe you're stuck, maybe you're procrastinating, maybe there's something right in front of you and you don't know how to break through. Well, you're going to find out that the how doesn't even matter that much, because we're going to look at some of the hidden reasons why there's a lack of progress, and you're going to get clear, actionable steps to build as much momentum as you want and achieve as much growth as you want. So this is all about breaking through personal or professional plateaus. Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, you're just stuck? So what's coming up, we're going to look at the thinking behind this, some real stories, and of course some actionable steps so you can break through easily and effortlessly, automatically, and naturally. So if we're looking at this from the most simple terms, plateau. What is a plateau? Well, I'm sure you've seen a plateau in a movie or something like this in the landscape or you're just driving by on the freeway and you see something. I know when I lived in Arizona, you would see these mountains go up and then they would just plateau at some point. So this is where it just kind of steadies off, where there's no more upswing, there's no downswing, there's no more growth personally or professionally. So people may hit a plateau in personal growth. They maybe learn a lot of things and then they're not willing to invest in themselves anymore. And then they just stay at that level. Me, I want to learn every single day. I want to make content a lot because I also make content and learn through that. I also invest in new trainings. So my plateau is never there in personal growth. It's always going up and up to a new level, being around new people, all that. And even in a career, have you ever been bored at a job or stuck at a job and it seems like there's more out there for you, yet you don't actually take the steps to do it? Maybe you just need to network within your current career or network with other people. The next thing you know, your career can hit a new level instead of plateau. Or even in fitness, people start out with fitness. They want to have a certain way that they want to look, most likely, or a certain way that they want to feel or sound when they hit that goal. And once they start seeing some results, they maybe plateau until they get to that end result, because maybe the results they've seen so far, they're somewhat satisfied. So in order to get beyond that plateau in personally, professionally, in fitness, maybe in spirituality, whatever it is, you're going to have to do certain things. Now, I talk to people and I work with people, and when they plateau, I've noticed that they get frustrated, that they get burned out. They start to have doubts, and they may even think about things that they don't want. Isn't that interesting that they have a goal, and instead of thinking about the goal, they start to think about things that they don't want? And that's what these negative emotions can do: frustration, burnout, stress, anxiety, doubt. Doubt is essentially removing a program out of your mind where you don't have access to the belief anymore. A belief is installing a program in your mind. So if you're taking out that doubt and you're taking out that belief and you're removing that program, that may be one reason that there is a plateau. So I plateaued many years ago. I used to always think about all the money that I wanted to make, and I would add it up in my head. I would do this, though, before I would go to sleep. And then I would wake up and I would worry about how much money I had. And I was only thinking about 6 months out into the future about how much money I would have. And so at the end of that 6 months, that's all the money that I would have. And I would plateau every single time. I would never have more. I would never have less. Because I was just thinking about keeping a certain amount of money. I wasn't really thinking about how I was going to grow this in different directions. Maybe how I was going to change my thinking to get more, invest in myself to get more, meet new people to get more, or even build the skills that I had to make more, collect more, or even use the resources that I currently had to collect more money. So if we think about it, hitting a plateau in your reality is probably something that seems normal. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people do this. Maybe you've done this. People are telling you about it and you're even feeling it. However, this doesn't have to be normal. Yes, it may have been common. If you think about it though, there's going to be so many ways that you can get past these plateaus where it's never going to seem like it's normal anymore. And if you think about it, there's some reasons that people normally get stuck and they plateau. One of the reasons, like me, for example, I was comfortable with the amount of money I had. So people get used to being in the comfort zone. That comfort starts taking up the neurology, the space in the mind. And that kind of gets disguised as stability. So that's one reason. Another reason, there may be a fear of success or a fear of failure. And maybe there's some self-sabotage behind both. I know many times I've been afraid to achieve certain things, and a lot of people are. It's really interesting that they think when they achieve something, they're actually going to lose something, or they may feel guilty, or they're just unclear, so they don't go for what they want to do. They don't go for that success. Or a lack of a clear goal, clear picture in your mind. So that's what I was kind of talking about earlier. When you have a clear picture in your mind, you're going to have pixels. And those pixels are going to get you what you want. Like I said, many people that I've worked with, they start to plateau when they stop focusing on what they want. So their goal isn't so clear in their mind. It's like the pixels are blurry. And this leads to them kind of stagnating, getting stuck, and plateauing. Or people just get burned out. They think that they're needing to work so hard to get their goal. And that hard work causes burnout. So what if there were actually ways that you didn't have to work so hard to get your goals? What if there were ways that you could put effort in your mind so that you could break through easily and effortlessly, automatically and naturally? So what we're going to look at is kind of a way to break through the plateau. This is the blueprint that you want to embed in your mind. It's going to help you get what you want. So the first thing that you want to do, step one, is you want to think about what's draining you and what's fueling you. So what's maybe hurting you and what's helping you? Because if you're doing things, and this isn't just things that you're doing, this can be suggestions you give your mind, this could be thoughts, this could be emotions, and this could be your focus. Because all of this leads to your reality. Suggestions lead to thoughts, thoughts lead to emotions, emotions lead to your focus, and your focus leads to your reality. So you kind of want to assess what's going on here with your energy. What are you putting your energy into? If you notice that you're putting your energy into things and it's draining you, maybe you want to stop that. And you want to start putting your energy into things that are fueling you. It was some time ago, I think about 2 years now. I was creating a lot of content and I went to a hypnotist myself and I was like, my business isn't growing. What's going on? And they could just notice by what I was saying. They're like, well, do you like to create all this content that you're creating? And I was like, no, not really. And they're like, well, maybe that's why you feel like you're not getting anywhere. There's no excitement. There's no curiosity. You're not really liking so much what you're doing. So then I started to shift the content that I made. I started to shift the strategies that I had. And next thing I know, I was having more fun. I was excited. And I started to get more clients. So notice too, when you're doing things, do you have negative emotions or do you have positive emotions? Because if you're doing things and it's leading to frustration, irritation, burnout, stress, anxiety, chances are you're not going to get what you want because all of those things kind of mean that you're worried about the future. And remember, a worry is going to take out that program, so you're not going to get what you want. Now, some things you may have to do, or maybe you can have other things that you don't like to do. You can have other people do them for you, depending on your business, depending on how you have your network and your reality set up. So put your energy into things that are going to fuel you. That's one way to do it. Now, another easy way to put energy into what's fueling you is if you have a goal and you're plateauing, it may be because you're so focused on the how you're going to do it. Sometimes we just need to leave this up to the unconscious mind. It's not so much about worrying about that. How are you going to do something? How are you going to do something? And put your energy into that and let it drain you, because a lot of people get stuck when they're continuously thinking how. Sometimes you just have to let the result be what it is and shift your energy and focus on what you want, not the how. An easy way to focus on what you want is to have rewards. So instead of draining you, you're going to reward yourself for your goal, and this is going to fuel you with pleasure to get there. So think about your goal, and you can think about 10 things that you want to reward yourself with, and you can think about 10 things that you want to experience once you achieve this goal. And you can write down those things and those experiences, and maybe that means it's really easy to achieve your goal. And you'll notice that you won't plateau anymore because this is a pleasurable experience that's fueling you. So that's all step one. Find out what fuels you and put your energy into that. Put your focus on that because that creates your reality. Step two, you want to set different challenges, different intentions each day. So you're going to have things that you do that are easy for you to do. And the more your mind starts to see success, this really works having small little tasks, because the more your mind sees success, your mind generalizes. So what does that mean? That means if you have success in one area or with one task, then your mind is focused on generalizing that success to anything and everything and anything in your reality. So that's why if you have doubts, you have worries, and you're doing things that are draining you, and you're setting up challenges and tasks that you aren't completing, your unconscious mind may get frustrated. Then it starts to generalize that frustration everywhere. So that actually happened to me before. One time I wasn't getting enough clients. I thought I was putting all this effort, but I was feeling frustrated doing it. So then when I wasn't getting clients, my mind was also generalizing that and giving more frustration. So then once I shifted my strategy and I had some different tasks, I was making some different content, things that I liked to do. I started to be around people that I genuinely wanted to be around. And then all of a sudden, I started to get more clients. I started to teach things that I wanted to teach, and people were interested in what I had to say. So my unconscious mind started generalizing this. So if you set up small tasks and you complete them, your unconscious mind is going to generalize this. And the other good thing is the unconscious mind needs repetition for a habit to be installed. So the more you do small tasks, you're installing that habit of success. You're also installing that habit of action, that your mind wants to do things, and your mind wants to get things for you. The unconscious mind is the goal getter. So your unconscious mind actually wants to get this goal in the easiest, most efficient way. It's going to take the path of least resistance. So that's the second step. Step 3 is you just want to reignite yourself. So now that you know what's fueling you, and now that you have small tasks to easily get past the plateau, you just really want to find out what is important to you about achieving this. And you can simply ask that question. And this is going to tell you why you're doing what you're doing. And what does this do? This is going to build motivation inside of you. And people also ask, how long is this motivation going to last? This is going to last as long as you want it to last. So let's say you have a goal. What is important to me about achieving this goal? Write down the answers. This gives you your values. This shows you why you're doing what you're doing, and that's going to build motivation. After you have about 10 to 20 words, pick out the top 4 or 6 that are most motivating for you and put those in order. And then you can look at those every single day, and those will show you why you're doing what you're doing, and that will give you motivation every single day. And maybe over time you notice that this changes. So if you notice that you are feeling a little drained and this motivation isn't fueling you, you can also then ask that again. Reconnect to it. Ask what is important to me about, and then do the exercise again. Because as you achieve different things and your mind starts to have different successes and sees, hears, and feels what it is that you want, your motivation may change. I know for me years ago, in business and personal relationships, I had certain values. And then when I did this exercise again, they completely changed. And that's a good thing, because that means you're changing. That means you're open to change. That means you want to change. So that's step 3. Step 4, you want to track your progress. Now, why do we want to track our progress? Because all these things that we do, they compound. They get better and better. Because if you're not thinking about your progress, then you're not focusing on it. And your consistency in doing things and compounding, it's actually much more important than you think. Because imagine if you actually focus on all the things that you were doing, then you're actually not focused on the things that you're not doing. So many times, if I have a client and I ask them what they want the first time I'm meeting with them, a lot of times they will say what they don't want. So people's focus needs to change for a new reality. So if you're focused on compounding and getting all the things, all the experiences, all the feelings, all the wonderful things in your reality, then it's going to be much easier to continue that. You're going to keep going up in levels. So the more you track your progress, the more you can reward your mind, and the more you can reward your mind, the more this is going to compound. You're going to get bigger rewards, bigger progress. So even if you're celebrating something small and you're rewarding yourself with something small, you're showing your mind, hey, thank you. We put in effort. We did this. And then your unconscious mind is going to generalize and get more of that. So those are really the 4 steps to get through the plateau easily and effortlessly. So start out with this first step and go through it. Think about what is really fueling you and draining you. And after you do that, you can set small challenges so you can easily complete them. Then motivate yourself. Find out what is important to you about doing this thing, and then track your progress. Reward yourself. And this will start to compound. So make sure to apply this as soon as you want. You may find the sooner you apply it, the sooner you get results. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Wherever you are listening, go ahead and rate the podcast so it can get into the minds of many others. And if you want to, go ahead and share this with someone else who will benefit from listening. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the next episode.